Hey, Steve, K1GMM. Gonna make a little change here. I got a little bit too much saturation on the old reverberator. And just a quick check-in. Got an email from a friend of mine out in Russia, I believe. Slawomir, this is for you, buddy. This is regarding the Anon 200D, the Power SDR Open HPSDR MRX PS version 3.4.9. I'm assuming this would apply to Thetis as well. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk him through how I have my rack. He's got a very similar setup, and he asked me a question regarding a bunch of questions regarding audio and especially the virtualizer. So I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to go deep, and I'm going to do a quick synopsis of how I set my rack up. Okay, the process, the procedure. So to recap, this is in reference to ESSB stroke Voodoo, Voodoo audio, and things like that. Piping it into an HF transceiver. Welcome to the Madhouse. This has gotten a lot of interest over the past few weeks, and people are working hot and heavy to get their rigs going. So, anyways, I'm going to start with the audio chain first because I think that's the most important before it even hits the rig. Okay, and then I'm going to move over to the rig, and I'm going to show you exactly how I have mine set up. It's actually very simple, but there's one key thing I found with the Anon that you pretty much have to have activated. So, without further ado, let me get over the rack, and you're not going to be able to see the numerical display on the virtualizer because it's so bright. I don't know if there's a way to turn it down. I didn't waste my time to figure it out. So here's the rack, very basic rack. All right. Preamp. So if you think of all of this stuff, putting it together, it's all about, it's just like water going down a series of tubes down the drain. It's signal flow, they call it. So I start out with a preamp. I hit the preamp from the CAD GXL 2200 microphone. That's this. Okay, and this is he has this same microphone, so that's why I'm doing this. And I don't know what his voice is like, but this is a great microphone for a baritone or anybody with a low voice like I have. All right. It's got a lot of very crisp top end. The problem with this microphone is it lacks mid-range, upper mid-range presence, which is partially to do with my voice, but I'll show you ways around that. All right. So first thing, let's get back. That's the microphone. So I bring the microphone into the preamp first. From there, it goes into the equalizer. From there, it goes into whether you have an Aphex device or not, some kind of oral enhancer. From there, it goes into the compressor gate and expander. Do not use the expander. This is a Composer Pro XL. Do not use the expander. It will exacerbate any noise that's in the shack. It will expand it, and it will send it through to the radio. You don't want that. What you want is a downward expander. All right? Completely opposite of an expander. I do use the gate. So from there, it goes to the virtualizer, which I use for a little room ambience, just a touch of reverb, and it's got a little bit too much on it because I can hear it. You want just a touch, just so it doesn't sound like you're talking into a pillow. At least that's the way I do it. And I had a guy tell me this morning, he says, man, that thing is just set up absolutely cracking, just perfect. Especially the reverb. He said it's not an artifact. Doesn't sound like an artifact in there, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be consciously noticeable, but it just sweetens it up a little bit. And this is a powerful tool. There's also something in there I was playing with. I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's part of the special, programs in here in the presets, but if you scroll through the preset, it almost sounded like an Aphex 204 exciter with optical big bottom. I mean, I clicked on it just, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, and good God, it almost blew the headphones off my head. Really, really good. So it's a very complex, this is a very complex piece of gear. It takes a while to learn how to run it. I don't know that much about it. All I use it for is reverb, okay? But there's other things, and I have it saved in slot 001. And when we work through the pieces of rack, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. From there, it goes into an audio card, which I would recommend if you're running Anon. Don't bring the audio. Pretty much any SDR transceiver, I would not bring the audio through an analog in. I would bring it into an audio card, and I would pipe that directly to the radio digitally. Anywhere you can remove cables, as far as audio cables in the shack, that's a huge bonus. You don't need ferrite beads. It's a beautiful thing, you know. So I don't know. That's just me. That's just the way I would do it, and it's the way I do it. Take it for what it's worth. So, audio card goes from there to the radio, and I'll show you how to set the radio up to work with your external audio card, even an internal audio card. All right. So, and this is in reference to the Anon only. I have a 200D, but it's running basically the same software that the guys running brand new rigs are running. A lot of guys have tried to use Thetis, and they experience the same problem I have. It's crap, and I will never put that back into the Protocol 2 firmware, and I will never run Thetis until they fix it, because it's the only software I've ever had that gave me the blue screen of death twice. Yeah, I ripped that out and threw it in the trash in a heartbeat. Some people it works for, me it doesn't. So Protocol 1 firmware on the Anon, running HPSDR version 3.4.9. All right, this is specific to this setup. Other software, I have no idea how it's going to behave. This is just in reference to the Anon, okay? And this is for TX audio. So we got the chain figured out. So how do you go about setting it up? So the very first thing you do, and this is basically audio setup for dummies. In other words, people who have never even seen this stuff before, but they want to play with it. How do you go about doing it? The very first thing you do is get your input drive set on your preamp. So you speak into the microphone in a normal tone of voice, and you get the drive level in the preamp, the in and out set correctly. Some microphones are phantom powered, some are dynamic. Some are a condenser. A condenser microphone requires some kind of voltage to run it. And most preamps today have some form of phantom power switch. This is a phantom powered microphone, so you're going to want the phantom power turned on. Dynamic, no, don't turn it on. I.e., let's say an SM58, a Shure SM58, the old tried and true, great radio, a great microphone for a radio. Probably the most popular microphone in the entire world for vocals. For decades, we saw performing artists on stage. Yeah, guess what they were using? An SM58. Now they got the betas, and they got a bunch of different. Bayer makes a great microphone, but I digress, and I'm getting off topic. We're not talking about, different types of microphones. So hit the preamp, get your level set to where it's acceptable. Watch the meter deflection. And make sure you're not clipping it. Don't clip it, because remember, this is going to a rig. Less is more. Don't clip it. If you clip it in the pre-stage, you're going to have problems. So preamp set, which now flows into the EQ. Take your EQ, go down through the entire rack, and flatten everything. Flat as a board. Neutral on the compressor, gate, shut it right off, everything. Put this in bypass, your virtualizer. You're starting from a clean slate, all right? So now what you can do is you can, with the audio card, I turn it, I bring, because the virtualizer, it comes out of the virtualizer and goes into the back of the audio card, right? Into the input 1. So you can see the meter flashing here. If I turn it up a little bit, this you want to run, that's too hot. So you want it running, you just bump the -3 dB mark. No more than that. All right, if you're hitting 0 dB, you're clipping it. All right, so don't push it too hard. I do because I don't care, but I'm just telling you the right way to do it. I don't pay attention half the time, and it does go into clipping, but it doesn't come through. It's got a little headroom there, but you really don't want to see that clip light come on. All right, so once you're neutral and you turn this knob all the way over to direct, the only thing you're going to hear is the microphone or whatever's plugged into the inputs of this device. So you got the feed from the rack coming in. Turn this over to direct, and here's your plug your headphones in, and this is your headphone monitor. Okay, I'm going to actually turn that off for now because I don't need it. So what we're going to do now is you got your EQ flat. So this particular EQ, the top, number 1 channel, this is for the 7300, this is for the Anon, okay? The top one. So we're just going to deal with the Anon right now. Set your input drive. Watch these meters. Don't let them go into the orange. You don't want to see orange on that particular meter on this Behringer. You can get it up to the orange, but that's about it. All right. So you got your output set here on your sound card, flows into here, into the input. Set your input level. And you got this level set. Set the input level, so that's okay, and that's okay where it's running right now. You can see it. Top one right there. This is flat, and then what you do is you go through and you start playing with EQ until you see everything start to snap into shape, right? Try not to rely on visuals. Listen carefully. All right, once you think you got the it's set up pretty nice, this sounds good. Now you're down to your oral exciter or whatever you're running. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you can come straight from that to the compressor limiter or whatever. All right. This particular system's running a 204 exciter with optical big bottom. This is all set to neutral. And then I start bringing levels up on channel 1 until I like the way it sounds, and it starts to sound really good. Be careful of mud. Mud will kill you. And the muddiness comes in around 125 hertz, 160 hertz, and in around like 200, 250 hertz. Oftentimes you have to cut, like you'll see this. I have a cut at 160, another cut at 250, and then I have a big bump in the mid-range around 400 or 500, and then this can be kind of a honky sound in the 800 hertz, so I try not to go too crazy on that, but this area right here is where your upper mid is. That's what makes your voice cut. That's where all of the presence appears in the human voice, regardless of what type of voice you have. It's all in here. Okay, so get this set to where you want it. Move on to the Aphex 204. Once you get that set where you like it, now you can start engaging the gate. I run very little compression, about 2 to 1. And what this does is it helps hold the signal up. And this can be destructive. Too much compression can destroy your audio. So I run probably 20 millisecond. Right now it's about 2.5 to 1 compression ratio. This is the gate. So, and you will probably have to fuss with that a little bit to get it really dialed in. Kind of do some moving around in your seat and see where the threshold is. Obviously, the hotter the mic, the hotter the gate needs to be. The more stronger the gate, because very little thing. This is an extremely hot microphone, scary hot. Then you move on to the attack. Now, if you run the attack on the compressor, the faster the attack, the faster the compressor grabs it and affects the audio. The problem is if you run the attack too sharp, too quick, it doesn't cut the beginning of your words off, but it affects the initial articulation. If I was going to start a sentence with tango, it will affect that. So you really want your attack to be 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, somewhere in there. Just give it a slight delay before it cranks up and kicks in. Release time, you're going to have to play with. My release time is about it's about 2 seconds. No. Probably a second and a half release time, somewhere in there. Realistically, I mean, the numbers, don't pay too close of attention to the numbers on the devices and the scales. They're like a rough guideline. You really have to listen. You have to play with it. This is a tweaker's game, all right? That's what I mean. Don't go by your eyes only. Go by what you're hearing. All right, so then you got your output. You have a De-Esser. This is the De-Esser running right here. This will tend to kind of keep the sibilance under control, especially if you're running very wide, like I would say 5 kilohertz and out. But it doesn't affect it in a negative way. Sometimes you can get some really bad sibilance depending on how you're EQ'd and how things are set up. The peak limiter, if I were to crank that all the way up, I don't think it's going to, it is starting to engage. That is a problem. I don't run that because it does affect the audio. It will affect it and you'll hear it. Okay, onto the virtualizer. Here's the complex part. So basically I'm using preset 1 on the reverb, and I have everything rolled back as far as I can get it. All right. It's still too long. I screwed it up. I screwed it up about a half hour ago, and I'm trying to get it back, and I can't quite get it back to the way it was. So I got to get in there and start fishing around and find what I had and how I had it set up. I overrode it by accident, and I'm like, oh, crap. So, yeah, that's just a touch of room ambience. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. It just prevents the audio from sounding like I'm talking into a pillow. You know, that pillow sound, like it's muffled. I like a little bit of room, but you don't want it noticeable. If you got too much on there, it's going to be really noticeable, and then it sounds really wonky. It doesn't sound right. So there is a fine line. I can tell you where my mix is set right now. Mix is set on 3. Can't really see it because it's so bright and it's blowing the camera out, but it's on 3. So, yeah. And it's probably still a little hot. So, once you get that sorted, play with that device. It's a powerful device, and I don't use it to its potential. That's the next stage. I need to get in there and really start fishing, see if I can daisy chain some effect systems together and get it really cranked up. All right, so from there, of course, it hits the card. Now we are going to move on to the Anon. So let me get over to the other screen. How do you get the audio to the Anon? So this is HPSDR, open HPSDR. This is the Anon. And here is the setup. So the very first thing you want to do, if you've got this card, let me go back to that camera. Forgot to mention this. This card is plug and play. All you have to do is plug it in the USB. There is no driver. There's no nothing. It will show up in your control panel. So let's get to, really quick, let me show you how to get there. So right click on your speaker icon, go to sound settings, sound control panel, pull this over here, playback. You should see it in your device list. If you don't see it, that's a problem. You got a problem. So if you got it in your device list, Coolio, make sure it says M Audio Air or it's identified as your card, set it as the default device, go to recording. You'll see line 1, line 2, M Audio Air 192.4, default device. Okay? If it's there, you're good to go. You got to make sure it's there first before we move forward. If it ain't there, you got a problem. It ain't going to work. All right? Once that's set, get out of here. I make sure, shoot, this is a 192 kilohertz card. So I probably should go back in there and show you guys, because I'm doing this from a complete layman's point of view, people who have never messed with this before. If you right click on one of these, let's say speakers, M audio air, this is the sound card. Go to properties, go to advanced. You'll see I have this cranked up, 32-bit, 192 kilohertz. I change that because it may come up as a different default. It may default to like 48 kilohertz. Now, some software may get pissed over that, and it may not want to run at 192 kilohertz. If you have to roll it back to like 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, that's CD quality. So I would not worry about that. I just have it all cranked up. Same thing in the recording tab, 192 kilohertz. Swing. Back to the Apache. Okay, so let me just run through this for those Slawomir over there in Russia that's having a problem. Now we're into the meat and potatoes, right? So if you go to audio, right here on this tab, setups up here, go to setup, audio, go to VAC. Click this, enable VAC. If you're running a card that uses ASIO, make sure you select ASIO and the sound card. It's going to be in the list. Okay. ASIO, output, M audio air, ASIO. There you go. M audio air. That's done. That's done. My buffer size I have set to 128, 192 kilohertz sample rate. Make sure this box is checked mono stereo. Otherwise, you're only going to get audio out of one side, one speaker. If you have a stereo, I have a monitor system here running in stereo, so you want to make sure that's checked. I have all of these unchecked. I found this to be kind of a problem. I have this in manual. Don't be concerned with this right now, all this stuff. And it's probably not the optimal settings, but I just want to show you. I don't fuss with this, so it just works. I don't fuss with it too much. So now we got the VAC set. So if you go to okay, so this, I'm not going to get into that yet, man. Not going to get into that. Let's get in. So go to DSP. So from the audio tab, you go to DSP and options. I have RX set to low latency on sideband and AM. TX I leave on linear phase. Of course, this is for FM and CW and digital, and I'm not using any of that right now. Filter window I have set to BH4. All right. This is the catch right here. I think this is what Slawomir is having a problem with. You need to have this checked. Go to AGC ALC under the options tab. So make sure you're in the DSP pane. You'll see options on the left. Go over to AGC ALC. Make sure the leveler is engaged. I did not touch this, and it works extremely well. So max gain on the leveler will be 5. Decay is 500 milliseconds. Okay, the ALC, maximum gain on the ALC, don't drive it over 0. Cap it at 0. Decay 10 milliseconds. So it's very quick. It releases very, very quick. If it doesn't, you're going to hear it surge. So you may have to play with that a little bit. I don't touch it because it just works great. All right. That's pretty much everything regarding the audio and getting the audio into the Anon. The leveler is key. So if you, so let me get out of here. So with that in mind, let me power this up. I'm going to kick it into a dummy load. Now, if you notice on the panel, familiarize yourself with all of this. The monitor, there's going to be latency there, and it's going to be very difficult to talk. Really tough. So what I do, you will not see pure signal is activated, and Alex is on. Okay? That's it. That's all I have in here. Of course, this is puts it into transmit. So I'll probably just use this. So make sure your drive level's down. Make sure you do this in a dummy load. And I'll show you what to watch for. So let me get this. This is on mic. Go up here to your meter. This is the very first thing you need to do before you go anywhere else on the Anon. Make sure this is set to signal, mic, and when you key up, speak into the microphone. So I'm going to key up into the microphone. So you want to look for, see this number? Check audio. 1, 2. Check audio. Go to the loudest inflection of your voice. See the leveler kicking in. It never go. Oh, there's 0. It bumps 0. That's okay. But see how it's -1? That's right in the kill box. That's what the leveler does. So, and you'll notice down here it's trying to correct, but pure signal's not going to work unless there's output forward drive. So don't worry about that. All right. Microphone on this particular rack and setup, you can control. Let me go back over here. So you can control the drive level with the output of this to the sound card, and this will also control the drive level to the Anon right here. So if you see this, see right now, audio. So that's clipping when I really lay into it. So if you see it clipping, you can roll that back. See where it's down to -3 again? Just bumping the -3. It doesn't matter because the leveler is kicking in on the Anon. It's holding it up there. So that control right there is my primary drive level control. Once I go to the Anon over here, I have my mic gain set at 10, and play with this. You can roll this mic gain back, get your level set. I know this is kind of crazy, but I want to go through everything because I'm going to tell you everything I know, so you won't have to ask me any more questions because I'm not going to be able to answer any questions. So, not that I don't want to, but this is it, man. If it doesn't work, it's on you. It's not. I can't help. So. What I noticed is let me get back to the pan adapter. With the drive level set on the card where it is, and this is, and your setup's going to vary. Don't use this. Use only what I'm telling you as a guideline, instructions. Do not use the visual indicators of my rack and all the other stuff as a guideline to start with. Don't do it. I'm just warning you. Don't do it. You should never do that. Should all go by the audio. So, anyways, over here you'll see mic. Make sure this is turned on. Oh yeah. Well, this is turned on, and ride this slider up and down until you see that up here, when you're keyed up and you're talking into it, you start to see that level start to drop. So run your mic gain up just enough to see it start to bump that -5 to 0 mark. You get it in there, you're good. And then leave it. Don't touch it. Then what you can do is you can control the output drive from there forward with that. The input drive, I should say, of the audio. There's your input drive. Because see, now you're this meter right here and that meter up there correspond. See, they're looking for 0 dB. You don't want to crush it if you don't have to. There's no point in crushing it because the leveler is just going to shut it down. So that's how I set that up. All right. This is the most powerful tool in the Anon's, one of the two most powerful tools in the Anon's arsenal. The downward expander. This is not right. This needs to be down around 60, I think. So this downward expander, what this does is it removes ambient room noise off of your, in layman's terms, it removes ambient noise like fans and other things that are running in the shack in the background from your transmitted audio. It makes it literally, it's like a continuous gate. I don't even know how to explain it. It's really cool, man. Anon, to my knowledge, Anon is the only one that has this, and I just put something in on the forum, in the expert forum there, and I put it in the wrong, I put it in the MB1 area like a butt-tard, so I'm going to have to move that, suggesting just making it was in the wish, what we wish we had. I'll tell you what, this right here is a game changer. Downward expander. If you have a noisy shack, oh yeah, it will, and especially with a microphone like the GXL 2200, which is very sensitive, it's a game changer, man. It rock and rolls. It's a dynamite feature. I hope they bring it in on the Sun. If they don't, it's a shame. Okay, I was going to show you. Let's go back to setup. Let's see. Okay, I haven't touched anything in here. Okay, this is all your noise reduction, blah, blah, blah. I do not use any EQ. I don't use the compressor. By the way, the compressor, if you run the compressor at 2 dB compression right here, you kick this on, people will know that you're running compression. That's why if I can get away from running compression, any type of compression, onboard compression, I don't care what rig it is, don't do it. If you want to do the ESSB Voodoo thing, stay away from that. Do it all outboard. It's very destructive to the audio. That's just what I found. All right. So let me get back over here. No equalization. Zippo, not a squirt, nothing. Something else. Transmit tab. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'll look through here really quick. There was another window. Where was that? I get very confused because of the three different radios here. I can't keep track of everything. This is set to mic in. See, this is all going virtually, so none of this is going to matter. You can enable or ignore all of this crap. This is where you set up your profiles set your different profiles up. So to create a profile, basically what you do is you plug this in. Let's say you want a 10 kilohertz for giggles, 10,000 hertz to 20 kilohertz, 20 to 10,000, right? Now what you do is you click save, and it's going to ask you to enter a profile name. Right? So I just put I would put 10K or whatever you want to put. I'm not going to do it because I don't need a 10K profile. And hit OK, and boom. So you can go in and create all your different bandwidth profiles. Like I have profiles specifically for DXing where it's like 100 hertz to like 2.8 kilohertz and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that, all the way to like 8 kilohertz, 20 to 8 kilohertz profiles. So cancel. Okay. Over here is your transmit profile window. So this is where all your profiles are. All right. And all you do is you just click on them, 8 kilohertz, and bada boom, bada bang. So there you go. And that's pretty much it, folks. I really don't have anything else. If for some reason, I don't know why this happens, if for some reason you light the thing up and there's no audio coming through, and you look down here and everything's on, it's all cranked all the way up, and there's no audio, check your squelch. I don't know why this happens. Sometimes the squelch will move all by itself. Don't ask. I have no idea. It will move by itself. Slide that back and you'll be good to go. I'll be moving the AG AGC around, and I can't find it. One last thought. Tip you guys off. I got to modify this background, customize it for me, for moi. You can find these backgrounds. Go to W1AEX, his website, and on his main page, you'll see a bunch of hyperlinks for all the different pages and different things. And you'll see backgrounds, how to use custom skins on the Anon and the PowerSDR software. And all you do is you download them and you unzip them into the roaming directory. It's actually labeled, I believe, Flex, but the instructions are there and you'll be able to see that, man. So that is it. I know this was, good Lord, this was exhaustive, but it's all I know, man. So good luck. And the audio side is not a non-specific, rig specific. That's just the way I go about doing it. And it's a long process. It sucks. I don't monitor the audio through the radio. I actually record it. I pipe the audio to Audacity and record it. Post radio, TX. So I kick the monitor in and shut off the head because I monitor through the card. And I'll shut the monitor off, the audio off in the card, and I'll record it in Audacity with a radio keyed post radio, so I know kind of what's coming out of the radio. And that's how I do it, and that will give you a very good indication of what's going on. All right, man, I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody. And 7-3, this has been a long time coming. You got a question for me? I can't imagine what the question would be, but I'll try and answer it. That's everything I know. So good luck with that and have some fun. We'll catch y'all later. 7-3, this is K1GMM Steve in Vermont. I'm out of here.